Hare Krishna, we'll start with the invocation prayers. Nana Shastra Vicharinako Nipano Saddharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karano Tribhuvane Manyu Saranakarano Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalako He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, thank you all for coming to listen to Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions and to take responsibility to apply what we are going to learn today. So today we are going to revise Nectar of Devotion, chapters 12, 13, and 14. I will start with the revision of chapter 12. Chapter 12 is titled Further Aspects of Transcendental Service and covers items number 54 to 59 of the 64 items of devotional service. We'll discuss some of the points and rest of the points will get covered as we read the chapters. So from chapter 6, which has the listing of the 64 items, in chapter 6, the item numbers are listed from the paragraph which starts from 34 onwards. And the 34th item in chapter 6 corresponds to 54 item of the 64 items of devotional service. So the 34th item of chapter 6 or the 54th item in sequence is one should regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam and similar literature. So revealed scripture means a book which enlightens us on how to advance in devotional service. Examples are Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of Srila Prabhupada's books. There are three ways to serve the revealed scriptures. One is by intelligence, meaning by hearing and studying the scriptures. Second is by writing and carefully preserving the scriptures. Third is by arti, exactly as one worships Gopinath, can also worship Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. They are also Gopinath. Srimad Bhagavatam is the best revealed scripture. This is described in Bhagavatam itself in 12.13.15. Now there are repetition of these points. For example, we have heard earlier about hearing or Shravanam. From chapter 10 we discussed like hearing Shravanam is the hearing about names, fames, pastimes, qualities of Krishna. And here in chapter 12, you have this item, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the lips of pure devotee. So all these repetitions are to emphasize the importance of these points. Next item, number 55 in the sequence, is one should live in a sacred place like Mathura, Vrindavan, Dwarka. We have discussed in Nectar of Instruction, text number 9, that Mathura, Vrindavan are superior to Vaikuntha simply by hearing about, remembering, glorifying, seeing, touching Mathura, means traveling to all these holy places. You get the same benefit. If one is attracted to places other than Mathura and Vrindavan, means he is captivated by Maya. Now, this holy place, such as Mathura, is also mentioned 4 times. So, repetition is again for emphasis, just to awaken our bhava. So, in chapter 7, it says residing in sacred place. Then, chapter 9 also has visiting temple of Lord Vishnu. Then, chapter 12, we are discussing right now, number 55 is living in Mathura, and this will come up again in chapter 13 also. We'll soon hear about to live in Mathura. So residing means actual residence of Mathura, and living, visiting is that those who travel to Mathura or any of the holy places. Next item, number 56, is one should offer service to Vaishnavas, to devotees. Serving devotees of the Lord is superior to directly serving Krishna. It's described many places in Bhagavatam. One such example is 1.5.23. So we cannot directly approach Krishna. We have to go to Krishna through our Guru and Guru Parampara. Satisfying Guru means you are satisfying Krishna. Next item is straightforward, that one should arrange one's devotional services according to one's means. Next item, number 58, is in the month of Kartik, which generally falls around October, November. One should make arrangements for special services, for doing more services. So Kartik has special importance among Vaishnavas because the Kartik month is very dear to Krishna. Because devotional service results are magnified when you do during Kartik month, or even more when you do devotional services in holy places like Mathura, Vrindavan during Kartik month. So some of the examples that you can very easily apply is that during Kartik month, you can try to do more japa rounds than your usual number of rounds. Do more services, read more scriptures. And item number 59, the last item in this chapter 12, is during Janmashtami, Krishna's appearance day in this world, one should observe a special service, do some extra services. Those are the some points discussed in chapter 12. Any questions, comments, realizations before we start reading? All right. So all of you, please read at a faster pace. Abhishek Prabhu will start reading. So chapter 12 on my book is on page 101. Start reading the topic, hearing the revealed scriptures, and finish reading the topic, performing devotional service in Kartik, to the end of page 103.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 12, Further Aspects of Transcendental Service. Hearing the revealed scriptures. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, any book that gives enlightenment in the matter of advancing in devotional service is considered to be revealed scripture. Srila Madhvacharya has also defined revealed scriptures as referring to books such as Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Upanishads, Vedanta, and any other literature written in pursuance of such revealed scriptures. In the Skanda Purana, there is this statement: a person who is constantly engaged in reading literatures enunciating the cultivation of Vaishnava devotional service is always glorious in human society, and certainly Lord Krishna becomes pleased with him. A person who very carefully keeps such literature at home and offers respectful obeisances to it becomes freed from all sinful reactions and ultimately becomes worshipable by the demigods. It is also said to Narada Muni, my dear Narada, a person who writes Vaishnava literature and keeps such literature at home has Lord Narayana always residing in his house. In Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto 13th chapter verse 15 it is stated, Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. Any person who has become attached in some way or other to the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam cannot have any taste for reading any other literature. In other words, a person who has relished the transcendental bliss of Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be satisfied with mundane writings. Residing in Mathura. In the Varha Purana, there is a statement praising the residential quarters of Mathura. Lord Varaha tells the men of earth, any person who becomes attracted to other places attracted to places other than Mathura will certainly be captivated by illusory energy. In the Brahmand Purana, it is said that all the results of traveling on all the pilgrimages within the three worlds can be achieved simply by touching the holy land of Mathura. In many Shastra scriptures, it is said that simply by hearing, remembering, glorifying, desiring, seeing and or touching the land of Mathura, one can achieve all desires. Rendering service to devotees. In the Padma Purana, there is a nice statement praising the service of the Vaishnavas or devotees. In that scripture, Lord Shiva tells Parvati, my dear Parvati, there are different methods of worship, and out of all such methods, the worship of Supreme Person is considered to be the highest. But even higher than the worship of the Lord is the worship of Lord's devotees. A similar statement is in the third canto, 7th chapter, verse 19 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me become a sincere servant of devotees, because by serving them, one can achieve unalloyed devotional service onto the lotus feet of the Lord. The service of devotees diminishes all miserable material conditions and develops within one a deep devotional love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Skanda Purana, there is a similar statement: person whose bodies are marked with tilaka, symbolizing the conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus, and who keeps the leaves of tulsi on their head, and whose bodies are always decorated with gopi chandana. Even seen ones can help the seer be relieved from all sinful activities. Similar statement is found in 1st Canto 19th chapter verse 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no doubt about one's becoming freed from all reactions to sinful activities after visiting a devotee or touching his lotus feet or giving him a sitting place. Even by remembering the activities of such a Vaishnava, one becomes purified along with one's whole family. And what then can be said of rendering direct service to him? In the Adi Purana, there is the following statement by Lord Krishna himself, addressed to Arjuna. My dear Partha, one who claims to be my devotee is not so. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. No one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must approach him through his pure devotees. Therefore, in the system of Vaishnava activities, the first duty is to accept a devotee as spiritual master and then to render service unto him. Srila Rupa Goswami affirms that all the quotations given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from different scriptures are accepted by great acharyas and devotees of the Lord. Serving the Lord according to one's position. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement that one should perform the ceremonies for the Lord according to one's financial position. Everyone should observe the different ceremonies and celebrations of the Lord by all means. Performing devotional service in Kartika. One of the most important of these ceremonial functions is called Urja Vrata. Urja Vrata is observed in the month of Kartik, October-November. Especially in Vrindavan, there is a special program for temple worship of the Lord in this Damodara form. Damodara refers to Krishna being bound with rope by his mother Yashoda. It is said that just as Lord Damodara is very dear to his devotees, so the month known as Damodar or Kartik is also very dear to them. The execution of devotional service during Urja Vrata in the month of Kartik is especially recommended to be performed at Mathura. This system is still followed by many devotees. They go to Mathura and Vrindavan and stay there during the month of Kartik, especially to perform devotional service during this period. In the Padma Purana, it is said, Lord may offer liberation or material happiness to a devotee, but after some devotional service has been executed, particularly in the Mathura, during the month of Kartika, the devotees want only to attain pure devotional service unto the Lord. The purport is that Lord does not award devotional service to ordinary persons who are not serious about it, but even such unserious persons who execute devotional service according to regulative principles during the month of Kartika and within jurisdiction of Mathura in India are very easily awarded the Lord's personal service.
All right, Archana will read next from top of page 104, the topic Observing Festivals, Celebrating the Lord's Activities, and finish reading the topic Recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam among devotees up to top of page 106.
Hare Krishna. Before that, Prabhu, what is this Urja Vrata?
So the vrata that you follow in Kartik is to do more devotional services. That's what you do. That do more devotional services during Kartik. You are taking that vow or doing that vrata.
What is counsel?
Which one?
Counsel.
Ask. Prabhu, Devraj has a question.
Yeah.
Concha.
No.
Okay, he left. Okay. Hare Krishna. Observing festivals, celebrating the Lord activities. In the Bhavishya Purana, there is a statement about observing different ceremony, celebration, the Lord appearance, birth, and other transcendental activity. It is said, my Lord Janardhana, Krishna, please let us know the date when your mother Devaki Devi gave a birth to you. If you kindly inform us about this, then we shall observe a great celebration on this day. O killer of Kesi, we are souls 100% surrender on to your lotus feet, and we wish only to please you with our ceremony. This statement of the Bhavishya Purana gives evidence that by the observing different function in a relationship with the Lord, one is sure to become a pleasing to the Lord, serving the deity with a great devotion. It is said in the Adi Purana, a person who is constantly engaged in chanting the holy name and who feels transcendental pleasure, being engaged in a devotional service, is certainly awarded the facility of devotional service and is never given such just mukti, liberation, service, and is never given such mukti, liberation. Mukti means liberation from material contamination. When liberation, one does not have to take a birth again in a material world. The impersonalists desire to merge into the spiritual existence to end their individual existence. But according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mukti is only the beginning of one's becoming situated in his normal condition. The normal condition of every living entity is to be engaged in a devotional service of a Lord. From the statement of Adi Purana, It appears that a devotee is satisfied simply with being engaged in a devotional service. He does not aspire for any liberation from material conditional life. In other words, anyone who is engaged in a devotional service is not in a material condition of life, although he may appear so. Recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam among devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is the desired tree of Vedic wisdom. Veda itself means the aggregate of knowledge, and whatever knowledge is required for human society is perfectly presented in a Srimad Bhagavatam. There are different branches of knowledge in a Vedic writing, including sociology, politics, medicine, and military art. All these are other branches of knowledge are perfectly described in the Vedas. So, as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned, that is also perfectly described there. And Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the ripened fruit of the desireful fulfilling tree of the Vedas. A tree is honored by the production of its fruit. For example, a mango tree is considered very valuable because it produces the king of all fruits. The mango, when the mango fruit became a ripen, it is the greatest gift of that tree. A Srimad Bhagavatam is similarly held to be the ripened fruits of the Vedic tree, and as ripened fruit became more relishable when first touched by the beak of a parrot or sukha. Srimad Bhagavatam has become more relishable by being delivered through the transcendental mouth of Sukadev Goswami. Srimad Bhagavatam should be received in its disciplic succession without any breakage. When a ripened fruit comes from the upper part of the tree onto the ground by the process of being handed down from the higher branch to the lower branch by the person in the tree, the fruit does not break. Srimad Bhagavatam, when received in the Parampara system or a disciplic succession, will likewise remain unbroken. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the disciplic succession or a parampara is the way of receiving the transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge must come down through disciplic succession, through authorized person who know the real purpose of the Shastra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that one learn Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of the self-realized person called Bhagavatam. Bhagavat. The Bhagavat means the relationship with the personality of a Godhead, Bhagavan. So the devotee is sometimes called Bhagavatam, and the book which is relationship with the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God is also called a Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that in order to relish the real taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, one should take the instruction from the person Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is relishable even by the liberated person. Sukadev Goswami admitted that although he was liberated from within the very womb of his mother, it was only after relishing Srimad Bhagavatam that he became a great devotee. Thus, one who is desire of advancing in Krishna consciousness should relish the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam through the discussion of authorized devotee. In Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, verse 9, Sukadev Goswami admitted that although he was very much attracted by the impersonal Brahman when he heard the transcendental pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the mouth of his father, Vyasadeva, he became more attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. The idea is that Vyasadeva was only a self-realized soul, and his mature contribution of transcendental knowledge was delivered directly to Sukadev Goswami in the manner of indicated.
All right. So Chandran Prabhu will read from the topic associating with advanced devotees up to end of chapter 12.
Hare Krishna. Associating with advanced devotees. The importance of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam in the society of pure devotees was explained by Sanaka Muni during the meeting at Naimi Saranya in the presence of Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami confirmed that if someone is fortunate enough to associate with the pure devotee of the Lord, even for a moment, that particular moment is so valuable that those pious can promote promote one to the heavenly planets or give liberation from material miseries cannot compare to it. In other words, those who are attached to Srimad Bhagavatam do not care for any kind of benefit derived from elevation to the higher planetary kingdoms or for the liberation which is conceived by the impersonalists. As such, the association of pure devotee is so transcendently valuable that no kind of material happiness can compare to it. In the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, between Prahalada Maharaja and his father Hiranyakasipu, in which Hiranyakasipu addresses Prahalada in this way: "My dear son, association is very important. It acts like a crystal stone which will reflect anything which is put before it. Similarly, if we associate with the flower-like devotees of the Lord, and if our hearts are crystal clear, then certainly the same action will be there." Another example given in this connection is that if a man is potent and if a woman is not deceased, and then by their conjugation, there will be conception in the same way. If the recipient of spiritual knowledges are sincere and bona fide, there will be good results. Chanting the holy name of the Lord. The importance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is very strongly stressed in the second canto, first chapter, verse 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam in the following way. Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaja Parikshit, "My dear king, if one is spontaneously attached to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is to be understood that he has attained the highest perfectional state. It is specifically mentioned that the kinds who are aspiring of results of their activities, the salvations who are aspiring to become one with the Supreme Person, and the yogis who are aspiring after mystic perfections can achieve the results of all perfectional stages simply by chanting the Mahamantra." Sukadeva uses the word nirnitam, which means it has already been decided. He was liberated soul and therefore could not accept anything which was not conclusive. So Sukadeva Goswami especially stresses that it has already been concluded that one has come to the stage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra with the determination and steadiness to have already passed the trials of fruitive activities, mental speculation, and mystic yoga. The same thing is confirmed in Adi Purana by Krishna. While addressing Arjuna, he says, "Anyone who is engaged in the chanting of my transcendental name must be considered to be always associating with me. And I may tell you frankly that for such a devotee, I become easily purchased." In the Padma Purana also it is stated, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is present only on the lips of a person who has for many births worshipped Vasudeva. It is further said in the Padma Purana, there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. As such, the holy name is as perfect as the Lord himself in fullness, purity, and eternity. The holy name is not a material sound vibration, nor has it any material contamination. The only name cannot, therefore, be chanted offenselessly by one who has failed to purify his senses. In other words, materialistic senses cannot properly chant the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But by adopting this chanting process, one is given a chance to actually purify himself so that he may very soon chant offenselessly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended that everyone chant the Hare Krishna mantra just to cleanse the dust from the heart. If the dust of the heart is cleansed away, then one can actually understand the importance of the holy name. For persons who are not inclined to clean the dust from their hearts and who want to keep things as they are, it is not possible to derive the transcendental result of the chanting the Mahamantra, the chanting Hare Krishna mantra. One should therefore be encouraged to develop his service attitude toward the Lord, because this will help him to chant without any offense. And so Under the guidance of a spiritual master, the disciple is trained to render service and at the same time chant the Hare Krishna mantra. As soon as one develops his spontaneous service attitude, he can immediately understand the transcendental nature of the holy names of the Maha Mantra. Living in Mathura. In the Padma Purana, there is statement about the importance of living at holy places like Mathura or Dwaraka. It is stated there, to travel to different places of pilgrimage means to attain emancipation from material bondage. This emancipation, however, is not the highest perfectional state. After attaining this liberated state, one has to become engaged in devotional service to the Lord. After attainment of the Brahma Bhuta liberation state, one can further advance to engagement in devotional service. So, this attainment of transcendental loving devotional service to the Lord is the for one who lives in Mathura Mandala even for a few seconds. It is further said, who is the person who will not agree to worship the land of Mathura? Mathura can deliver all the desires and ambitions of the fugitive workers and of the salvationists who desire to become one with the Supreme Brahman. Certainly, Mathura will deliver the desires of the devotees who simply aspire to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic literature, it is also stated how wonderful it is that simply by residing in Mathura, even for one day, one can achieve personality of Godhead. This land of Mathura must be more glorious than Vaikuntha Dhamma, the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
There was a part where, except for Tilak, there was mention of marking of conch shell and chakra. So I'm not sure if devotees do that, or what kind of, how do they do that?
So, you know how you do gopi dot decoration. Similarly, some devotees, sometimes you would see these during Rath Yatra, that they will write Hare Krishna on some part of their body, either on a face or on their arms or some way, or they will make these drawings of the transcendental conch shells. Abhishek.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So chapter 13, we will hear from Ritu's son Archit Prabhu. So Ritu is slightly unwell in terms of the ability to speak normally. So her son Archit Prabhu, Bhakta Archit Prabhu, is going to present chapter 13. Let's hear and let's see what you notice. Let me play the recording.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna everyone. Before I begin, I would like to request permission and blessings from all the devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru Parampara, Sri Radha Krishna. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or mistakes that I make in today's discourse. Now, in the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 13, from the 64 items of devotional service, we narrow down to the 5 most potent forms. Practice is so powerful that even a small sincere effort can rapidly awaken Krishna Bhakti within us. These 5 most potent forms are worshipping Gopinath, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and living in Mathura. Now, one may ask, chanting is the Yug Dharma of Kali Yuga, and Nectar of Instruction everywhere instructs us to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So why are there 5 most potent forms instead of just chanting alone? The answer is this. Our goal is not to merely chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Our goal is to chant with love for Krishna. Our scriptures and acharyas are clear that if someone is simply uttering the holy name without genuinely trying to connect with Krishna or revive their relationship with him, they're not truly chanting, they're only uttering, much like a trained parrot. A parrot can also utter the holy name, and simple utterance is not enough. To truly revive this relationship, we must understand that Krishna is a person and to relate with him as a person. The remaining 4 practices directly support and deepen the quality of our chanting. They improve it from the inside. Together, these 5 items form a complete and powerful framework, which is why they're presented together as the most potent forms and not just chanting in isolation. So first, we have hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. When we chant Krishna, we're calling out to a person. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the biography of that person, his qualities, his pastimes, his relationships, his form. Without knowing who Krishna is, our chanting remains abstract. So we should regularly hear and study the Bhagavatam, attend classes, listen to recordings, and read Srila Prabhupada's purports. As we do this, the name transforms from a sound into a living relationship. Second, we have worshipping Gopinath. Gopinath, the Lord of the Gopis, reveals how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be served. Deity worship trains us in the attitude of service. It teaches us that Krishna is not an abstract concept, but a living presence who accepts our love and offerings directly. Every act of offering, whether it's a lamp, a flower, a prayer, is a conversation with the person. Whether at the temple or at home, this direct and tangible service builds a foundation for genuine bhakti. Third, we have associating with devotees. Devotees are those who live in Krishna's world. By spending time with them, attending programs, serving together, discussing Krishna, we learn what Krishna's home looks like, how he is spoken of, how he is served, and how he is loved. Bhakti is contagious. It passes from heart to heart through association. The enthusiasm and experience of those walking this path ahead of us nourishes and accelerates our own journey in ways that are difficult to replicate alone. Fourth, we have chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, of course. Chanting is the prescribed medicine for this age, but its power lies in quality, not just quantity. The Mahamantra is a direct address. Hare is a call to Radharani's energy. Krishna and Rama are calls to the Lord himself. When the other practices are in place, when we know who Krishna is from the Bhagavatam, when we have served him through deity worship, and when our hearts have been touched by sadhu sangha, then our chanting ceases to be mere utterance and becomes genuine prayer. The holy name then reveals in its full potency. Fifth, we have living in Mathura Mandal. The holy Dham, Mathura Vrindavan, is not ordinary land. Krishna's pastimes are eternally present there, and being in a place where he walked and played, with the very atmosphere carries his memory and transforms the heart in ways difficult to fully describe. At the same time, our acharyas compassionately acknowledge that most of us live far from these places, and that is perfectly alright. Our scriptures even note that in Kali Yuga, unnecessary travel can sometimes disturb one's practice rather than enhance it. So the guidance is this: make your home into Vrindavan, establish deity worship at home, serve prasadam, hold kirtan, and you're in Vrindavan 24 hours a day, wherever you are in the world. The door of the Dham is never closed to anyone. It is open in your own heart, in your own home, wherever you turn towards Krishna. And of course, if the opportunity arises, if your spiritual master is traveling to the Dham, or if the month of Kartik comes and circumstances allow, then these are especially auspicious times to make the journey and receive great benefit. To conclude it all, for those looking for a place to start among all 64 items, these 5 most potent practices are a wonderful basis for anyone, regardless of where they are on the path. Even a sincere effort in these 5 will fast forward your Krishna Bhakti. They are specifically designed to accelerate the awakening of love for Krishna in a way that the other items practiced in isolation may not. And as you deepen in these practices, the natural next step is to seek out a bona fide spiritual master. because it is the spiritual master who can guide you to the remaining items on the full list of 64 and help you engage in them properly and meaningfully. Without that guidance, the broader path can feel difficult to navigate. So begin with these 5, let them take root in your daily life, and allow them to bring you naturally to the shelter of a guru who can carry you the rest of the way. With that, I bring my presentation to an end. Please forgive me again for any of my shortcomings. Thank you, Prabhuji, for engaging me in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Any comments, realizations for Vaikuntha kid Bhakta Archit Prabhu?
Prabhu, the presenter was fully immersed in his presentation, and I think I was captivated by everything, and also was able to significantly at the end say that these are the 5 very important. It's a beginning, and it will deepen your bhakti and help you. So it's amazing.
Okay, very good. Rest of you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna.
What I have noticed, each word was coming from his heart. And then more important, I noticed that he's from Vrindavan. And then I can see the Vrindavan Vasi is glorifying Krishna.
Yeah.
So again, I can say that Brajvasi can live anywhere, but they cannot forget Vrindavan. So I literally feel like, yeah, he's glorifying Krishna so nicely.
Very good. Abhishek?
Yeah, I felt that the connection of presentation and the narrative was very nice, like how each point was connecting to what is coming next.
Very good. Yeah, so Bhakta Archit Prabhu has done a spectacular presentation. So I asked him, when he sent me the recording, I asked him, how is he able to do this presentation? He has not come to our classes. And Archana correctly pointed out that he is Vrajvasi. So he already has that built-in devotion. Of course, those of you here in Toronto have also met him in person when he comes to a temple to do devotional services with us. He does wonderful devotional services also. But I asked him, how is it possible for him to do this presentation? So he said, yes, of course, his mother shared the notes. And then he himself read through and did his research and did the presentation. And you notice that he was not reading anything. He was actually presenting. That's why Archana correctly pointed out that every word was coming out from his heart. He was not reading anything. He was naturally speaking. This is Vaikuntha Kit, Vrajvasi. All right, let me also quickly summarize chapter 13. Chapter 13 discusses the last 5 items of the 64 items. In chapter 6, the item numbers are listed as 40 to 44. The corresponding number is 60 to 64 of the 64 items. The title of chapter is 5 Most Potent Forms of Devotional Services, which are worshipping Gopinath, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and living at holy dhams like Mathura. Srila Prabhupada built ISKCON on these 5 pillars to make it easy to awaken Bhava Bhakti. These 5 items awaken Bhava Bhakti more effectively and more easily than any other. Therefore, these are the most potent ways of sadhana bhakti. The morning program at all ISKCON centers includes these 5 items. So number 60 item is one should do whatever is done with great care and devotion while worshipping Gopinath. So this is Gopinath worship. So benefit for householders is that by doing Gopinath worship at your home or at the temple, both ways, Gopinath worship will purify the relationships with friends, family, and society. Rupa Goswami indirectly states to see the beautiful form of Sri Radha Krishna to become indifferent to the attraction of material world. This will save one from the unwanted activities of going to clubs, cinemas, dance parties, smoking, drinking, etc. Next item, number 61 is one should relish the pleasure of Srimad Bhagavatam reading among devotees and not among outsiders. Srimad Bhagavatam deals with Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, pure devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam derides economic development, fruitive activities, liberation, and sense gratification. Srimad Bhagavatam subject matter is appealing to all classes of men, including those seeking liberation, also, and including those seeking to merge. Srimad Bhagavatam is more relishable when heard from lips of Sukadeva Goswami or his representatives in disciplic succession. Next item, number 62, is one should associate with devotees who are considered more advanced. This devotee association. We discussed in Nectar of Instruction the importance of devotee association. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.54 verse says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kay, Lava Matre Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That by even a moment's association with devotees, one can receive the seed of all perfection. Next item, number 63. One should chant the holy name of the Lord, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the Yuga Dharma, is the sacrifice for Kali Yuga. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapters 5 and 6. Shri Narad Muni, a pure devotee, travels all over the 3 worlds for the benefit of fallen souls. Hearing Kirtan from a pure devotee acts as a boat for fallen souls and awakens bhava. The 64th item is one should live in the jurisdiction of Mathura. So we have already discussed the importance of living in Mathura in today also, in the previous chapter and earlier also. Now, of the 64 items of devotional service, which are the most important items? So a couple classes back, Nitya asked this same question. The answer is that the first 5 items, which are essentially for the spiritual master, plus the last 5 items, the most potent forms of devotional service, these first 5 and the last 5 are the most important. Of course, not committing offenses is also very important item. Now, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga, as is described in Bhagavatam 12.3.52. when one gets initiated, the instruction from spiritual master is to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Upadesh of Upadeshamrit, meaning the instruction of nectar of instruction in text number 8, is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So everywhere it says to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Then why does Rupa Goswami here gives these 5 most potent forms of devotional service and not just state that chanting is the most potent? The answer is, our goal is not to just chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Our goal is to chant Hare Krishna so as to develop love for Krishna, to develop or to revive relationship with Krishna. Not develop, we are reviving our relationship with Krishna. So I have to understand Krishna is a person and we have to relate with Krishna as a person. Other 4 potent forms of devotional service, which are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, going to holy places, and Gopinath worship, are also extremely potent ways to develop our relationship, to revive, not develop, to revive our relationship with Krishna so that we can know Krishna a little more. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if someone is ritualistically uttering the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that person is not chanting the holy name, because that devotee is not contacting Krishna through the holy name. Therefore, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not just a ritualistic utterance. Simple utterance, even a parrot can do. No, but we have to chant with feelings. So yes, chanting is the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga. But to revive our relationship with Krishna, to understand what is the name we are chanting, for this, we need to hear Srimad Bhagavatam to understand the person whose name we are chanting. We need to worship Gopinath to understand how this person is to be served. We need to associate with devotees to understand what this person does in his home. We need to visit holy places and worship Krishna at such holy places where he has performed wonderful pastimes. Our goal is to revive our relationship with Krishna. Chanting is the most potent means of reviving our relationship with Krishna. Not by chanting like a parrot. Rather, by proper chanting, every result will be attained. For proper chanting, these other processes of devotional service, meaning hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Gopinath worship, associating with devotees, visiting holy places, these other 4 processes on top of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also play a very important role. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami has given us these 5 items as the most potent forms of devotional service. That's a quick summary of chapter 13. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Abhishek.
Um, Sometimes during Harinam or other times also, like we may induce people to chant, but they don't know what they are chanting. So, with regards to today's discussion of just merely uttering the names, can you put some light on that?
Yeah. So the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is so potent that even if one chants not knowing what he's chanting, he still gets the benefit. And the perfect example is Ajamil. That at the time of death, Ajamil got scared and Ajamil called out for his son who is named Narayan. Ajamil was not calling for Lord Narayan. He was calling out for his son Narayan. So this is the learning or one of the key points from Ajamil's pastime. That even unknowingly if someone chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he still gets benefit. Then what to speak of devotees who are chanting with love and devotion, with feelings? Of course, Krishna will hear and revive the relationship and deliver the devotee. Abhishek.
So, if I understand correctly, even such utterance has spiritual benefit, but as devotees, we also have to revive that relationship.
Yeah, you are correct. So it does have spiritual potency if somebody is just uttering without knowing, but the benefit will be less, right?
Yes.
But when you are chanting with love and devotion, with feelings that, oh Krishna, oh Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your services at your lotus feet. Well, of course, Krishna will come running that he is hearing your call for the love and feelings that you are demonstrating. Abhishek.
Thank you.
Nitya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, could you please also give us the significance of the gateway mantra in helping lessening our distracted chanting or in our purification of our chanting? That's the significance.
Sorry, which mantra are you referring to?
The gateway mantra, Prabhu, when we invoke Lord Chaitanya's name and
Okay.
that's it.
The Panchatattva mantra, yeah. So we have discussed that we cannot approach Krishna directly. We have to approach Krishna through Guru and through Guru Parampara. So all of you who do not have spiritual masters, you start with the Panchatattva mantra, which is Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Right, so you are requesting permission and blessings from Guru Parampara that, okay, let me chant. Now, those who are initiated, for example, we have our godbrother Matan Prabhu present here. So before the Panchatattva mantra, those who are initiated, we chant the Guru mantra before, meaning we are first going to Guru, then we chant the Panchatattva mantra and then the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So the sequence is that you always go to Krishna through your Guru. And while you are waiting to have a living Guru, Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara are your gurus in the meantime. That's why we chant the Guru Parampara or request permission and blessings. Nitya?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. One more follow-up question on the fasting of Ajamil. I was actually listening to it in Guru Maharaj lecture yesterday and thinking of the same point. So, and surprisingly, it came up today. So, the utterance of Lord Narayana name, Lord Krishna's name at the very end, if someone just utters it, not knowing why they're uttering it, and they spend their life not being a devotee, will they still be reaching the spiritual kingdom of God? Will
So we
they
have
still go to
discussed
Vaikuntha?
we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita 8.5. The 8.5 second line says Maran Muktva Kalevaram, right? The point is Maran, remembrance. The 8.5 does not say Kirtan Muktva Kalevaram, right? It's not that you are fed up of life and you now know the shortcut, that you will put a gun to your head and while shooting yourself, you will chant Krishna, and you expect to attain spiritual world. It doesn't work that way. You cannot cheat Krishna this way. The learning from Ajamil's pastime is that when Ajamil called out for his son Narayan in fear of death, the Vishnu Dutas came to protect him. But Ajamil did not get liberation at that time. He was actually given a second chance. So Prabhupada has a book titled A Second Chance, which basically lists the whole Ajamil pastime. That Ajamil was given a second chance. So Ajamil was a Brahmana, got associated with female and got entangled into illicit relations, and he dropped all his sadhana. So when he uttered Narayan, the Vishnudutas came to save him, but he did not achieve liberation then. He was given a second chance and said, now go back to your Brahmanical lifestyle and live proper life. So that's the learning, that yes, simple utterance also has its benefit, but you cannot cheat the system. That's the learning, that yes, holy name is powerful. So don't cheat, rather chant the holy name with proper love and feelings and call out as a helpless person to revive your relationship with Krishna. Nitya.
Thank you, Prabhu. Such a powerful message. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening with rapt attention. Let's read chapter 13. All of you, please read at a faster pace. Vimal Prabhu will start from the start of chapter 13. Read paragraph number 1, 2, and 3. So on my book is page 109.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Chapter 13, five, five potent forms of devotional service. Rupa Goswami has stated that five kinds of devotional activities, namely residing in Mathura, worship of the deity of the Lord, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, serving the devotee, and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, are so potent that a small attachment for any one of these five items can arouse devotional activity even in the neophyte. Regarding worship of the form of the Lord or deity, Rupa Goswami has written the following verses. My dear friends, if you still have any desire to enjoy the company of your friends within the material world, then don't look upon the form of Krishna, who is standing on the bank of Kashi Ghat, a bathing place of Vrindavan. He is known as Govinda, and his eyes are very enchanting. He is playing upon his flute, and on his head there are a peacock feather, and his whole body is illuminated by the moonlight in the sky. The purport of this verse is that if someone becomes attached to the Srimurti or deity of Krishna by worshipping at home, then he will forget the relationships of so-called friendship, love, and society. Thus, it is the duty of the every householder to install deities of the Lord at home and to begin the process of worshipping along with all of his family members. This will save everyone from such unwanted activities as going to the clubs, cinema, and dancing parties, and smoking, drinking, etc. All such nonsense will be forgotten if one stresses the worship of the deities at home. Rupa Goswami further writes, "My dear foolish friends, I think that you have already heard some of the auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam which, dis, which describe seeking the result of fruitive activities, economic development, and liberations. I think that now it is certain that gradually the verse of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describing the pastime of Lord will enter your ears and go into your heart."
All right,
Indeed.
Shivangi will read from paragraph number 5, starting in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, and finish reading to end of paragraph number 8, which finishes on top of page 111. Shivangi?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read for her?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that unless one has the ability to throw out, just like garbage, the fruitative results of ritualistic ceremonies, economic development, and becoming one with the Supreme or salvation, one cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam deals exclusively with devotional service. Only one who studies Srimad Bhagavatam in the spirit of renunciation can understand the pastimes of the Lord that are described in the 10th canto. In other words, one should not try to understand the topics of the 10th canto, such as Rasa Leela, the love dance, unless he has spontaneous attraction for Srimad Bhagavatam. One must be situated in pure devotional service before he can relish the Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. In the above two verses of Rupa Goswami, there are some metamorphical analogies that indirectly condemn the association of materialistic society, friendship, and love. People are generally attracted to society, friendship, and love, and they make elaborate arrangements and strong endeavors to develop these material contaminations. But to see the Sri Murtis of Radha and Krishna is to forget such endeavors for material association. Rupa Goswami composed his verse in such a way that he was seemingly praising the material association of friendship and love and was condemning the audience of Sri Murti or Govinda. This metamorphical analogy is constructed in such a way that things that seem to be praised are condemned and things that are to be condemned are praised. The actual import of the verse is that one must see the form of Govinda if one at all wants to forget the nonsense of material friendship, love, and society. Srila Rupa Goswami has similarly described the transcendental nature of relishing topics that concern Krishna. A devotee once said, "It is very astonishing that since I have seen this personality of Godhead, who is washed by the tears of my eyes, there is shivering of my body, and he has made me a failure in executing my material duties. Since seeing him, I cannot remain silently at home. I wish to go out to him always." The purport of this statement is that as soon as one is fortunate enough to contact a pure devotee, one must be anxious immediately to hear about Krishna, to learn about Krishna, or in other words, to become fully Krishna conscious. Similarly, there is a statement about hearing and chanting the Maha Mantra. It is said that saints have been able to hear the vibrating strings of the veena in the hands of Narad, who is always singing the glories of Lord Krishna. Now the same sound vibration has entered my ears, and I am always feeling the presence of the Supreme Personality. Gradually, I am becoming bereft of all attachment for material enjoyment.
All right, Priyanka will read from paragraph number 9. Starts again. Srila Rupa Goswami has described Mathura Mandal to the end of chapter 13.
Hare Krishna. Again, Srila Rupa Goswami has described Mathura Mandal. I remember the Lord standing by the banks of the Yamuna River, so beautiful amid the Kadamba tree, where many birds are chirping in the gardens. And these impressions are always giving me transcendental realization of beauty and bliss. This feeling about Mathura, Mandal, and Vrindavan described by Rupa Goswami can actually be felt even by non-devotees. The places in the 84 square mile district of Mathura are so beautifully situated on the banks of the river Yamuna that anyone who goes there will never want to return to this material world. These statements by Rupa Goswami are factually realized descriptions of Mathura and Vrindavan. All these qualities prove that Mathura and Vrindavan are situated transcendently. Otherwise, there would be no possibility of invoking our transcendental sentiments in these places. Such transcendental feelings are aroused immediately and without fail after one arrives in Mathura or Vrindavan. In these statements about devotional service, sometimes it may appear that the results have been overestimated, but actually there is no overestimation. Some devotees, as revealed scriptures give evidence, have had immediate results by such association, although this is not possible for all. For example, the Kumaras immediately became devotees simply by smelling the incense in the temple. Bilva Mangal Thakur simply heard about Krishna and then immediately gave up his beautiful girlfriend and started out for Mathura and Vrindavan, where he became a perfect Vaishnava. So these statements are not overestimations, nor are they stories. They are actual facts, but are true for certain devotees and do not necessarily apply to all. These descriptions, even if considered overestimations, must be taken as they are in order to divert our attention from the fleeting material beauty to the eternal beauty of Krishna consciousness. And for a person who's already in contact with Krishna consciousness, the described results are not unusual. Some scholars argue that simply by following the principles of Varna and Ashrama, one can gradually rise to the perfections reached by practicing devotional service, but this argument is not accepted by the great authorities. Lord Chaitanya also condemned this idea while he was talking with Ramananda Rai about the gradual development of devotional service. He rejected the idea of the importance of Varnashram Dharma when it was put forward by Ramananda Rai. He said that this advancement of Varna and Ashrama is merely eternal. There is a higher principle. In the Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says that one has to give up all other principles of elevation and take simply to the method of Krishna consciousness. That will help one in achieving the highest perfection of life. In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord himself says, one should execute the prescribed duties of Varna and Ashrama as long as he has not developed spontaneous attachment for hearing about my pastimes and activities. In other words, the prescribed forms of Varna and Ashrama are ritualistic ceremonies of religion intended for economic development, sense gratification, or salvation. All of these things are recommended for persons who have not developed Krishna consciousness. In fact, all such activities are recommended in the revealed scriptures only to bring one to the point of Krishna consciousness. But one who has already developed spontaneous attachment for Krishna does not require to execute the duties prescribed in the scriptures. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Regarding this point on Varnashram, it is it is said that they can help in reaching the stage of Krishna consciousness, but after that is there, they may not be so necessary. So I'm just not clear that if they can help in reaching the state of Krishna consciousness, then after that stage, what to do with them? And then the second question is that I'm still confused if in the current times among devotees, like some devotees are on the view that Varnashram is important, some are not. So I'm just confused on that.
So Varnashram is material system. If you can take to bhakti process directly, there is no need for you to go to Varnashram system. But if somebody is finding difficulty, generally for Shudras, why somebody is a Shudra is because the Shudra's natural inclination is not like a Brahmana. Brahmana will do austerities without anybody telling him. But if you tell a Shudra to do austerities like wake up for Mangal Arti every day, he will say this is torture. So for a Shudra, he needs an in-between system to regulate himself. That in-between system is is the Varnashram system to help you get steady on the path of bhakti. But Varnashram system is not bhakti. You don't need bhakti. Sorry, you don't need Varnashram system. It's only an in-between step to make you fixed on the path of bhakti. Then you don't need to worry about Varnashram. Abhishek.
And sorry, like Varnashram has the occupational duties part also. Now, someone who is fixed on the path of devotional service. So I'm assuming that he's doing, let's say, he's engaged in the 5 potent forms of activities as we discussed earlier. But he's still also engaged in his occupational duties. So
Yeah,
it's
so
not that he's
you are
completely out.
correct. You are correct. Devotees will continue their occupational duties even when they are elevated. The difference is that for a Shudra who is trying to become steady, he is also doing his occupational duties, but he is not steady on the path of devotional service. Versus once you get steady, you will continue your devotional services, but you will not get entangled. You will continue your Varnik duty, but you will not get entangled. So in the statement, I will say that about the first point I said you will not get entangled while doing devotional services. So that is incorrect. I wanted to say you will continue your Varnik duties, but not get entangled when you are elevated to a certain stage. But just because you are elevated does not mean you will drop your responsibilities. No, you will continue your responsibilities. Abhishek?
Probably someone who is trying to be fixed in devotional service, he is also engaged in same activities, and someone who is already fixed is also engaged in same activities, maybe with better consciousness. So then in that case, there is no point of, like, no discussion on nothing about Varnashram comes in that picture, because the activities remain same.
You are absolutely correct. And we have read this in Bhagavad Gita 3.25. So I have on screen 3.25 Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is explaining the difference between Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. And the difference is Sakta and Asakta, Vidwan and Avidwan. So externally, Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga look identical, but the difference is the attachment. Abhishek, read translation 325 from screen.
Bhagavad Gita 3.25 translation. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path.
Right? The learned may similarly act. Right? It's externally will look similar, but the difference is Karma Kandya are attached and less intelligent, while Karma Yogi or an elevated devotee is doing the same activity, but he is not attached and he is intelligent. The same point we have discussed with as the Grahamedi is the Karma Kandya and Grahastha is the Karma Yogi. Abhishek.
So then, Pruji, is it okay to say that while our activities are not in proper mode of service, we are still trying to act like we do as a sadhana, but then when it is, and that is more on the varnashram level, but once we have some kind of attraction, then it is more at the devotional service level.
Yeah, you are correct.
Thank you.
All right, Nitya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just a follow-up. So the Varnashrama system was established in other yugas, but in our Kali Yuga, does it really apply in that way? Because it's a classification based on occupational duties that was very clear-cut in those yugas. But for us now, it is just as you pointed out, the person who's at Karma Kanda level, who then goes to Karma Yoga level, and then Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then to Bhakti Yoga. So really, the Shudra really refers to a person who's at the Karma Kanda level. And the Brahmana refers to the person who's at the Bhakti Yoga level. There's like no other classifications, right?
So you are correct. In current times, the division between the Varnas is very blurry. And in Bhagavatam, there's a verse, Prabhupada has explained, that because Varnashram system was established by Krishna himself, therefore you cannot put an end to it. Varnashram system, either in its pure form or it's in its degraded form, will continue to exist. So right now it's degraded for sure. And you are also correct that right now everyone is Shudra unless you know otherwise. And when you get initiated, you go on to become Brahmana and then Vaishnava. Yeah, the other two classes of Kshatriya and Vaishya, there are few, but it's not as much as it was in earlier yugas. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu, thanks for the clarification. Then for the ashrama part, I think there are people who still follow that, right? Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, some people who follow this whole system. But then there are others like who stay in the Grihastha ashram and they still follow the Vanaprastha, Sannyasa state in that Grihastha ashram.
Yeah, you are correct that if somebody wants after Grihastha life to follow Vanaprastha, it's possible. But Prabhupada has described in Bhagavatam that today there are not that many forests. And even in forest, there are not that many saintly people. The saintly people are also in the forest of concrete jungle, means in metro cities. So Prabhupada has advised that Grihastha don't need to go to forest as part of Vanaprastha life. Rather, the purpose of Vanaprastha they can follow to spend more time on Krishna conscious activities, at least for the last about 15-20 years of their life. That is Vanaprastha. And for sannyas, Prabhupada has already said that his initial disciples, many of whom were grahasthas. Prabhupada said they are already grahastha sannyasis because they were working in the material world and they every week or every month they used to bring all their earnings and surrender to Srila Prabhupada for Prabhupada's mission. So Prabhupada said they are grahasthas, but they are better than sannyasis because they are engaged in world and they are giving up everything for Krishna's service. So it's the principle that you have to follow rather than taking up the orange dress. Nitya.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right, very good. Let's quickly finish chapter 14 also. Divya is going to present.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I am seeking permission and blessings from all of you, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru Parampara, as well as Sri Sri Radha Krishna, to offer this summary of Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 14, titled Devotional Qualifications. Please forgive me for my shortcomings and mistakes. This chapter focuses on the relation between various spiritual practices and pure devotional service. Sadhana bhakti or devotional service is dependent on nothing except the sincere desire for service to the Lord. Knowledge and renunciation are required and helpful in the initial stages of bhakti until one is able to rise to the platform of sincere devotional service and become steady in their service to the Lord. Devotional service or bhakti is absolute. It is both the cause and the effect. It is the only way of advancing and progressing on the path of Krishna consciousness and devotional life. The purpose of Vedic knowledge is to understand our relationship with the Supreme Lord, enter His kingdom, and render Him eternal service. The only way to approach the Supreme Lord and revive our connection with Him is through pure devotional service. No other process will be effective in helping us fully surrender unto His lotus feet. In fact, mental speculation and artificial austerities can lead to renunciation from material conditions, but they will make one's heart hard and will ultimately fail to help one to develop the ecstasy of devotion. The Lord's devotees will naturally attain the required philosophical knowledge and the fruits of liberation from all material activities by the grace of the Lord Himself. Devotees fully engaged in service to the Lord in any one of the 9 forms of bhakti are automatic recipients of the profits of yajna, sacrifice, tapas, austerity, and dhana, charity. The 9 processes of bhakti are hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping the deity in the temple, praying, carrying out orders, serving Krishna as a friend, and sacrificing everything for him. An elevated devotee inherently carries all the qualities of the demigods and lives in harmony with the world around them without harming others. Just by following the devotional practices, one's lifestyle is already non-violent and full of noble acts. There is no need for devotees to therefore practice any additional purificatory processes. In the same way, a devotee uses everything in the material world in service to the Lord, though they are not attached to any material sense enjoyment. This is the true principle of renunciation or vairagya. There are 3 types of vairagya or renunciation. The first, yukta vairagya, using whatever one has in Krishna's service. Krishna consciousness is not against economic development as long as one uses everything available to serve Krishna. Example, Srila Prabhupada using dictaphones and typewriters to publish and spread the word of Krishna. Our own spiritual classes, which use the internet to engage in Krishna Katha along with devotee association. Airplanes used by preachers to travel all over the world to give discourses and do their preaching activities, so on and so forth. The second type, Faltu Vairagya. This involves rejecting items that can be used in Krishna's service because one is worried about getting attached to that item. Example, money. This type of renunciation can be fake or pretentious, as it implies that the person has not actually and completely detached themselves from material contamination and is fearful of falling back into it if given the opportunity. The last type, Markat Vairagya. Monkey or incorrect renunciation, where one is doing something outwardly and doing the complete opposite behind closed doors. Many pseudo-gurus, sannyasis, and impersonalists fall into this category because they are not truly grounded in bhakti and have no real desire for serving the Lord at His lotus feet. Such people will always fall back down into the plane of materiality. This being said, we should be very aware that only an elevated devotee who has progressed far beyond the neophyte and sadhana bhakti stages is capable of yukta vairagya. In the beginning stages of sadhana bhakti, devotees should strictly follow the regulative principles and very clearly reject activities not favorable to Krishna and bhakti, as guided by scriptural injunctions and bona fide spiritual masters in parampara or disciplic succession. These devotees in the initial stages should not be using their personal discretion or judgment to carry out devotional services and must simply follow the instructions from authorized sources as they are still conditioned souls under the influence of material nature. The Varnashram system, a social cultural system described in our scriptures, was designed to facilitate this gradual spiritual advancement through community support and cooperation, thereby reducing individual struggles. The The system creates a guided process to live a dharmic lifestyle and eventually reach the level of transcendence. Living in accordance with scriptural injunctions allows one to follow the path of dharma, which in turn helps one see through the illusions of sense gratification and gradually advance in one's devotional life. Unfortunately, as we are all aware, the system has been degraded and misunderstood by today's society as a false status by birth to discriminate among people and is not being used for its true purpose of helping individuals spiritually progress. Therefore, as devotees, we should follow what the acharyas have said and cultivate a sincere desire to serve the Lord, and He will arrange everything else. This concludes my summary. Thank you all for listening. Hare Krishna.
Super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Divya? All right, Divya has already done a very nice presentation, covered all the points for this chapter 14. In essence of time, I will also quickly summarize chapter 14. Will also answer Abhishek Prabhu's question on Varnashram that all Divya also covered very nicely. So chapter 14 is titled Devotional Qualifications. If you look at Sadhana Bhakti list, is Sadhana Bhakti dependent on Varnashram or renunciation or knowledge? So these items of Varnashram, renunciation, knowledge are not part of the 64 items of devotional service. So then what is their relationship with Sadhana Bhakti? So devotional service is not dependent on anything other than your desire to serve Krishna. On the 64 items of devotional service, there is no mention of that you have to be clean by taking bath every day, that you have to be truthful. How come? The 64 items of sadhana bhakti do not include such items. Rupa Goswami states that such bodily purification activities naturally develops when one practices devotional service. So renunciation, knowledge, varnashram, etc. may help initially become detached from material world and become steady on the path of devotional service. But these items do not help fix mind on Krishna and do not help become attached to Krishna. So we understand from initial Bhagavad Gita instruction that I am not this body, I am a soul. So this knowledge does not help fix mind on Krishna. This knowledge is helpful to move from material to spiritual. So this knowledge is anukul for bhakti, is favorable for bhakti. Therefore, in the 64 items of devotional service, it does not include items such as varnashram, renunciation, knowledge, etc. So renunciation or vairagya, there are three kinds. Yukta vairagya means to use everything in Krishna's service, whatever is usable. Example, you use technology, phone, gadgets, everything in Krishna's service. This is Yukta Vairagya. Now, technology, internet, etc. The intent to use it correctly in Krishna's service, but then many may end up abusing. Then we have to have some precautions that I will set a limit on how much time I will spend on YouTube, social media, etc. So either stop using it, means stop using social media, or make sure you have some precautions so that you don't abuse it. Next is Falgu Vairagya, means you are not understanding the spiritual potency of the things, and you are renouncing the items when you can actually use those items in Krishna's service. This is Falgu Vairagya. Example, somebody gives you money and you are saying, I won't take because I don't want to get attached. No, you can take the money and use it in Krishna's service. And the third is Markat Vairagya, means monkey Vairagya, that this Markat Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya are not the same thing. Markat means making a false show of renunciation, like a monkey. That monkey has no clothes, no home, but they will unite with many she monkeys. So, meaning externally there's a show of renunciation, but when you look closely, there is no such thing as renunciation. Similarly, many people in the material world, they act as renounced, but they are all pseudo-renounced. That externally they have this orange garb, but then behind the scene they do all sorts of nonsense. Now, bhakti is not dependent on varna or ashram. Varnashram is a system for regulated satisfaction of our own desires. Bhakti means anya abhilashita shunyam, freedom from personal desires. Purpose of Varnashram is to bring one closer to Krishna. Varnashram is a gradual process to elevate one on the path of bhakti, while bhakti provides rapid elevation. Varnashram is a material socio-cultural division. Varnashram is based on guna and karma and not by birth. Varnashram creates a platform for transcendence. Varnashram in of itself is not transcendental. Varnashram should be done for satisfying Lord Vishnu as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Say in Bhagavatam it says Hari Toshanam, that you have to satisfy the Lord. So an example in Grahastha Ashram, person is allowed regulated enjoyment, but also told to practice dharma. If there is no practice of dharma, but simply enjoying because there is no connection to higher reality, even if one is dissatisfied, one thinks, I have to enjoy differently. But the person continues to stay dissatisfied. So connection with dharma helps us to see through the illusion and look for something higher. Connection with dharma gives taste of higher happiness and exposes the limitedness of lower happiness. Meaning, while you are in the varnashram, you have to engage in devotional activities regularly every day. The 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. And doing these 9 processes while in the varnashram will help you get your footing steady on the bhakti path and get you out of the lower taste. So varnashram arranges for material cooperation and also facilitates spiritual advancement. For most spiritual advancement, mostly it's an individual struggle. If the individual struggle is supported by a varnashram social struggle, then the struggle becomes lesser and the fruit comes easily. Just an example is that a student wants to become a doctor, but there is no university, no social structure. He can take books and read, but nobody will recognize him as a doctor. So ashram then provides time-wise progression in one's spiritual commitment. Example, initial stages of life is brahmachari. You go to Gurukula ashram, stay there and practice spirituality, then move to grahastha, where one gets married, but even with family, one continues his commitment to spirituality. Then one of prastha, where one focuses most of the time on spirituality, and then sannyas, where one is primarily, if not exclusively, focused on spirituality. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, let's read Nectar of Devotion, chapter number 14. All of you please read at a faster pace. Pragya, would you like to start reading chapter 14? Are you able to?
Ji Prabhuji.
Yeah, so start reading from the start of chapter 14 and read until end of 8th paragraph. The 8th paragraph starts with the impersonalists who try to avoid everything.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Chapter 14, Devotional Qualifications. Some scholars recommend that knowledge and renunciation are important factors for elevating oneself to devotional service. But actually, that is not a fact. Actually, the cultivation of knowledge or renunciation, which are favorable for achieving a footing in Krishna consciousness, may be accepted in the beginning. But ultimately, they may also come to be rejected for devotional service. For devotional service is dependent on nothing other than the sentiment or desire for such service. It requires nothing more than sincerity. In the opinion of expert devotees, that mental speculation and the artificial austerities of yoga practice may be favorable for becoming liberated from material contamination, but they will also make one's heart harder and harder. They will not help at all in the progress of devotional service. These processes are therefore not favorable for entering into transcendental loving service of the Lord. Actually, Krishna consciousness, devotional service itself, is the only way of advancing in devotional life. Devotional service is absolute. It is both the cause and the effect. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause and the effect of all that be. And to approach Him, the absolute, the process of devotional service, which is also absolute, has to be adopted. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord Himself. One can understand me only through devotional service. In the beginning, His teaching of the Gita, the Lord said to Arjun, "Because you are my devotee, I shall teach these secrets to you." Vedic knowledge means ultimately to understand the Supreme Lord, and the process of entering into His kingdom is devotional service. That is accepted by all authentic scriptures. Mental speculation neglect the process of devotional service, and by simply trying to defeat others in philosophical research, they fall to develop the ecstasy of devotion. In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 31, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says, "My dear Uddhava, for persons who are seriously engaged in my service, the cultivation of philosophical speculation and artificial renunciation are not very favorable. When a person becomes my devotee, he automatically attains the fruits of the renunciation of material enjoyment, and he gets sufficient knowledge to understand the absolute truth. That is the test of advancement in devotional service. A devotee cannot be in darkness because the Lord shows him special favor and enlightens him from within." In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verses 32 and 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord further instructs Uddhava, "My dear friend, the prophets derived from fruitive activities, austerities, and the culture of philosophical knowledge, renunciation, the practice of mystic yoga, charity, and all similar auspicious activities are automatically achieved by my devotees, those who are simply attached to me by loving service. These devotees have nothing at their disposal, but they desire nothing outside my devotional service. If ever a devotee should desire some material profit, like promotion to heavenly planets or some spiritual profit, to go to the Vaikunthas, by my causeless mercy, his desires are very easily fulfilled. Actually, a person who is developing Krishna consciousness and still has some attachment to material enjoyment will soon be freed from such a tendency by regularly discharging devotional service under the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Rupa Goswami then recommends that one should not be attached to material sense enjoyment, but should accept everything enjoyable that is in relationship to Krishna. For example, eating is necessary and one wants some palatable dishes to satisfy his senses of taste. So in that case, for the satisfaction of Krishna rather than for the satisfaction of the tongue, some palatable dishes may be prepared and offered to Krishna. Then it is renunciation. Let the palatable dishes be prepared, but unless they are offered to Krishna, one should not accept them before eating. This vow of rejecting anything that is not offered to Krishna is actually renunciation. And by such renunciation, one is able to satisfy the demands of the senses. The impersonalists who try to avoid everything material may undergo severe austerities, but they miss the opportunity of being engaged in the service of the Lord. Thus, their renunciation is not sufficient for perfection. There are many instances where following such artificial renunciation without any contact with devotional service, the impersonalists again fell down and became attracted to material contamination. There are many supposed renouncers, even at the present moment, who officially become sannyasis or renouncers and outwardly claim that spiritual existence is truth and material existence untruth. In this way, artificially, they make a show of renunciation of this material world. However, because they cannot reach the point of devotional service, they fail to achieve the goal, and they again come back to material activities such as philanthropic work and political agitation. There are many examples of so-called sannyasis who gave up the world as untruth, but again came to the material world because they were not seeking their real repose at the lotus feet of the Lord.
All right, Nitya will continue
Hare Krishna.
From reading paragraph number 9, which starts, one should not give up, and finish reading paragraph number 14, which starts, in this connection, there is a story in Skanda Puran.
One should not give up anything that can be utilized in the service of the Lord. This is the secret of devotional service. Anything that can be utilized in advancing and devotional service should be accepted. For instance, we are using many machines for the advancement of our present Krishna consciousness movement. Machines like typewriters, dictating machines, tape recorders, microphones, and airplanes. Sometimes people ask us, why are you utilizing material products if you condemn the advancement of material civilization? But actually, we do not condemn. We simply ask people to do whatever they are doing in Krishna consciousness. This is the same principle on which in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advised Arjuna to utilize his fighting abilities in devotional service. Similarly, we are utilizing these machines for Krishna service. With such sentiment for Lord Krishna or Krishna consciousness, we can accept everything. If the typewriter can be utilized for advancing our Krishna conscious movement, we must accept it. Similarly, the dictating machine or any other machine must be used. Our vision is that Lord Krishna is everything. Lord Krishna is the cause and effect, and nothing belongs to us. Lord Krishna, things must be used. Krishna, this is our vision. This does not mean, however, that we should give up the principles of discharging devotional service or neglect abiding by the rules and regulations prescribed therein. In the neophyte stage of devotion, one must follow all the principles regulated by the authority of the spiritual master. The acceptance and rejection of things should always be in the pursuance of devotion of principles, not that one can independently manufacture some idea of what should be accepted or rejected. The spiritual manifestation of Krishna is necessary, therefore, to direct the devotee on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual master must never be carried away by an accumulation of wealth or a large number of followers. A bona fide spiritual master will never become like that. But sometimes, if a spiritual master is not properly authorized and only on his own initiative becomes a spiritual master, he may be carried away by an accumulation of wealth and large number of disciples. His is not a very high grade of devotional service. If a person is carried away by such achievements, then his devotional service becomes slackened. One should therefore strictly adhere to the principles of disciplic succession.
A Krishna conscious person, being naturally purified, has no need of developing any such purificatory process of thought or action. On account of his being highly elevated in Krishna consciousness, he has already acquired all the good qualities and is following the rules and regulations prescribed for the mystic yogic process. Such rules are automatically practiced by the devotees. A concrete example is the quality of non-violence, which is considered a good qualification. A devotee is naturally non-violent and therefore doesn't have to practice non-violence separately. Some people seek purification by joining a vegetarian movement, but a devotee is automatically a vegetarian. He doesn't need to practice separately in this matter or to join any society for vegetarians. He is automatically a vegetarian. There are many other instances showing that the devotee needn't practice anything but Krishna consciousness. All the good qualities of demigod automatically develop within him. Those who are intentionally practicing to be vegetarians or to become non-violent may have good qualifications by a material estimation, but these qualifications are not sufficient to make them devotees. A vegetarian is not necessarily a devotee, nor is a non-violent person, but a devotee is automatically both vegetarian and non-violent. We must conclude, therefore, that vegetarianism or non-violence is not the cause of devotion. In this connection, there is a story in Skanda Purana about a hunter who was converted into a great devotee under the instruction of Narada Muni. When the hunter became a perfect devotee, he was not prepared to kill even an ant. Parvata Muni, a friend of Narada's, now the wonderful transformation of the hunter by devotional service, and remark, "My dear hunter, your unwillingness to kill even an ant is not very astonishing. Any person who develops the devotional attitude has all the good qualities automatically manifested in his person. A devotee is never a cause of distress to anyone." Hare Krishna.
Very good. Matan, faster pace from paragraph 15. We start. Srila Rupa Goswami affirms.
Hare Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami affirms herein that purification of consciousness, purification of bodily activity, austerity, peace of mind, etc., all become automatically manifest in the person who is engaged in devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami affirms herein that there are 9 different kinds of devotional service which are listed as hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping the deity in the temple, praying, carrying out order, serving Krishna as a friend, and sacrificing everything for him. Each and every one of these processes is so powerful that if anyone follows even a single one of them, he can achieve the desired perfection without fail. For example, if one is attached simply to hearing about the Lord and another is attached to chanting the glories of the name, both will achieve their desired goal in devotional service. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, this has been explained. One may execute 1, 2, 3, or all different processes of devotional service, and at the ultimate end, he will achieve desired goal of being established in devotional service. There are concrete examples of how a devotee discharged one of these service and achieved perfection. King Parikshit achieved the desired goal of life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami achieved the desired goal of life simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaja became successful in his devotional service by always remembering the Lord. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, was successful by engaging herself in massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. King Prithu became successful by worshipping in the temple. Akrura became successful by offering prayers. Hanuman became successful by rendering personal service to the Lord Ramachandra. Arjuna became successful by being a friend of Krishna. And Bali Maharaja became successful simply by offering all of his possessions to Krishna. There are also examples of devotees who discharged all different items together. In the 9th canto, 4th chapter, verse 18, 19, and 20 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement about Maharaja Ambarisha, who followed every one of the devotional processes. In these verses, Sukadeva Goswami says King Ambarisha, first of all, concentrated his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and then engaged his speech in describing the pastimes and activities of the Lord. He engaged his hands in washing the temple of the Lord. He engaged his ears in hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord. He engaged his eyes in seeing the beautiful deity in the temple. He engaged his body in associating with the pure devotee of the Lord. When you associate with someone, you have to sit down together, eat together, etc. And in this way, touch of the body with this body is inevitable. Ambarisa Maharaja made this association only with pure devotee and did not allow his body to be touched by anyone else. He engaged his nostril in smelling the flowers and tulasi offered to Krishna, and he engaged his tongue in tasting Krishna prasada, food prepared specially for offering to the Lord, and the remnants of which are taken by the devotee. Maharaja Ambarisa was able to offer very nice prasada to Krishna because he was a king and had no scarcity of finance. He used to offer Krishna the most royal dishes and would then taste the remnants as Krishna prasada. There was no scarcity in his royal style because he had a very beautiful temple wherein the deity of the Lord was decorated with costly paraphernalia and offered high grade food. So everything was available and his engagement was always completely in Krishna consciousness. The idea is that we should follow the footsteps of great devotee. If we are unable to execute all of the different items of devotional service, we must try to execute at least one of them, as exemplified by previous acharyas. If we are engaged in the execution of all the items of devotional service, as was Maharaja Ambarisha, then the perfection of devotional service is guaranteed from each one of these items. With the first complete engagement, one becomes automatically detached from material contamination, and liberation becomes the maid servant of the devotee. This idea is confirmed by Vilmangala Thakur. If one develops unalloyed devotion to Lord, liberation will follow the devotee as his maid servant. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the regulatory principles of devotional service are sometimes described by authorities as the path of serving the Lord in opulence. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very good. Last point. Everybody have undivided attention and hear what Pragya has to share. Pragya?
Hare Krishna, everybody. I had started preparing for this larger presentation that we are supposed to do. And I was finding a lot of difficulty in progressing. So, firstly, Prabhuji had, over a discussion, he had approved the topic. And then I was just going through the text which I wanted to prepare and reading the purports. And Prabhuji had also shared a lot of several lectures of Prabhupada, which were regarding that Sthit Pragya, which I wanted to prepare. So I had been listening to these lectures over and over again, but I had not taken notes from there. And when I sat to actually prepare the last class, Prabhuji had asked us to send the structure of the presentation, and I was trying to put my presentation in a structure, and I shared it with Prabhuji. Then I realized that it is so much of work even to prepare the proper structure of presentation, the slides. It took me a lot of time, and I was reading the purports and preparing my notes for the presentation, and that was also taking a lot of time because going through the purports and trying to understand, assimilate that, and putting it in a flow, it was a lot of work. And listening to lectures also, after having gone through the purports and trying to integrate the messages of Srila Prabhupada into these notes is actually taking me a lot of time. I'm still in the initial stage of presentation only, but I just wanted to tell you all that actually doing a long presentation is a lot of work. And to be ready to with the presentation, it will really take a lot of time for all of us. So I hope that all of you you have chosen such wonderful topics. I was seeing Shivangi had chosen that about the current political, whatever, geopolitical situation, and she was trying to link it. It's so beautiful. So the thought is so beautiful. And then to integrate it with the lectures that she would be reading and the purports and the verses that she would be reading, I'm sure it is going to take a lot of time for all of us. So just wanted to share my experience that for me it has been a struggle and it is taking a lot of time for me to make this presentation, and I'm still at very initial stage of doing it, and I think my presentation is in May, so I have to really accelerate. Prabhuji told me to do the slides, in a better way, and so that interaction with Prabhuji, and Prabhuji actually reverts so easily and quickly, but he may also need time to go through the presentations of all of us and give us guidance on how to proceed further. So just wanted to share my experience that I am struggling and it is taking me a lot of time to prepare this presentation and follow a particular sequence. So I just wanted to share my experience with you all.
Thank you,
Hare
Pragya.
Krishna.
Thank you. So there's a live example. I've been saying this to you all from day one, that this bigger presentation is going to take a very long time. I requested you all to have your presentation ready, share with me. Not everybody has done it. So everybody become serious on this. It's gonna take a lot of effort to prepare your slides, to fine tune, to read the purpose, to listen to lectures, then be ready with the presentation, and you will have to keep fine tuning. So become serious, do not wait. Just start connecting with me. And Pragya also shared a slide and I said there's a lot of effort left over. Yeah, you have started, but there's a lot of effort going on. So you may think, oh, my presentation is 2 months away. Well, don't think that way. Your presentation is going to come in a blink. So immediately, all of you should start connecting with me right away with your presentations, because there'll be a lot of fine tuning that will happen for your presentations. And that's why I said I've given this to you so many months ago, and I told you all, do not wait. I said this endeavor is going to make you remember Krishna 24 hours from the time I gave you the presentation till the time you do the presentations. So I can request all of you to please immediately connect with me. I already told all of you to connect with me last week. Not everybody did that. So on the presentation schedule that I have on the screen, there is an additional tab inserted for the Sri Upanishad presentation. So I request all of you to also choose your Sri Upanishad presentations. We'll do it in 3 weeks. So after Nectar of Devotion finishes on 26th April, then for 3 weeks from 3rd May onwards, we'll do Sri Upanishad presentations at a high level. And then from 24th May will be your bigger presentation. Some of you still have to populate few of the columns, so don't wait. You will have to do this right away. Questions, comments, realizations?
That's why I do want to share also. I'm also in the very initial stages. I apologize for not having reached out to you, but I've just prepared 10 slides so far. So I'm like really like just a framework. I have not got a cohesive thing, but I've started and I will reach out to you once at least I have a framework to present to you, because I don't want to just send you at least just a framework first. So I'm working on it.
Connect. You will have to connect with me multiple times. So whatever you have it ready, share exactly what Pragya also did. Pragya just had a structure and said, am I moving in the right direction? And I said, yes, your structure is fine. And I gave some feedback. So if you try to wait to make it perfect, you will just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. So just start connecting since yesterday.
Prabhu, so I did have a question. So the presentation mainly involves us making slides, and then we are going to each slide delve in depth and talk more, correct? So because it's like a 45-minute class. So when we are sending to you to connect with you is to initially give you a framework of the topics we're going to talk about, and then you will help us, I thought that's how it would go. You would help us modify it, first of all, the framework, then the back. And then I really find it a struggle. I can't imagine that I would be able to talk for 45 minutes. And you said that, but I really am like, how could I go 45 minutes? But I'm not even there.
Yeah, so whatever you have framework, you will have to connect with me multiple times. So start connecting with me with your initial framework, and then this fine tuning will happen multiple times. So do not wait. And you are correct. Everybody will have this first challenge. I have to talk for 45 minutes. What am I going to talk for 45 minutes? So Everybody take it seriously and start connecting with me immediately, because this is going to take a very, very long time for you all to prepare. Thank you, Pragya, for sharing, and thank you, Nitya, also. Everybody ready to connect with me on this and also choose your next presentations for Sheesh Upanishad?
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, just a few more days before I definitely will. I just want to finish the framework, which I still have a few more slides to work on, but I'll definitely connect with you within a week. Thank you.
Right. Rest of you, I still got silence.
Yes, Prabhuji, we will be doing it.
Prabhuji, I will also try to share the revised flow with you once again,
All right.
as you have guided.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.